Have you ever wondered how a small village in Italy became the center of a vast empire? The story of Rome is one of ambition, conquest, and enduring legacy. Our journey begins in 753 BC, amidst the rolling hills of the Italian peninsula. Legend tells of twin brothers Romulus and Remus abandoned as infants and raised by a she-wolf. Romulus, destined for greatness, founded a city on the Palatine Hill, naming it Rome after himself. While the tale of Romulus and Remus may be more myth than history, archaeological evidence points to human settlements in the region dating back to the 8th century BC. Early Rome was a humble village, a far cry from the sprawling metropolis it would become. Its inhabitants, a mix of Latin, Sabine and Etruscan peoples, forged a distinct identity in the crucible of central Italy. The early Romans were a resilient and pragmatic people, focused on survival and expansion in a region rife with conflict. They were skilled warriors and strategists, gradually extending their influence over neighboring territories through a combination of military might and shrewd diplomacy. One key to their success was their willingness to incorporate conquered peoples into Roman society, extending citizenship and rights in exchange for loyalty and military service. This inclusive approach, unusual for the time, fostered a sense of shared identity and fueled Rome's expansion. The Etruscans, a powerful civilization to the north, exerted considerable influence over Rome in its early years. They introduced the Romans to advanced engineering, architecture, and religious practices, leaving an indelible mark on Roman culture. By the end of the 6th century BC, Rome had become the dominant power in Latium, poised for even greater conquests. The year 509 BC marked a turning point in Roman history. The Romans, weary of Etruscan rule and inspired by a desire for greater self-governance, overthrew their last king and established a republic. This momentous event ushered in a new era characterized by a complex system of government and a deep-seated belief in the rule of law. The Roman Republic, though far from a perfect democracy, established principles of representative government, checks and balances, and civic duty that would influence political thought for centuries to come. At the heart of the Roman Republic was the Senate, a body of elder statesmen who advised the magistrates and shaped Roman policy. The Senate, composed of experienced and influential men from patrician families, provided continuity and wisdom in governing the growing republic. The common citizens, known as plebeians, had their own assemblies and elected officials, known as tribunes, who represented their interests and could veto the actions of the Senate. The relationship between the Senate and the people was complex and often tumultuous. The Senate, composed of experienced and influential men, often saw themselves as the guardians of Roman tradition and stability. They were wary of the whims of the masses and sought to maintain their control over Roman politics. The plebeians, on the other hand, constantly pushed for greater rights and a larger say in government. This ongoing struggle between the patricians and plebeians led to significant political reforms. Over time, the plebeians gained the right to elect their own representatives, hold public office, and even intermarry with patricians. The Law of the 12 Tables, codified in 450 BC, established a written legal code that applied equally to all citizens, a major victory for the plebeians and a cornerstone of Roman law. Section 5. Conquering giants, the Punic Wars, and Roman dominance. As the Roman Republic matured, it increasingly found itself embroiled in conflicts beyond the Italian peninsula. The Punic Wars, a series of 3 epic clashes with the powerful Carthaginian Empire, tested the limits of Roman resilience and military might. Carthage, a Phoenician colony in North Africa, possessed a formidable navy and controlled vital trade routes in the western Mediterranean. The First Punic War, from 264 to 241 BC, saw the Romans, traditionally a land-based power, build a fleet and challenge Carthaginian dominance at sea. After a long and costly conflict, Rome emerged victorious, gaining control of Sicily and establishing itself as a major naval power. The Second Punic War, from 218 to 201 BC, proved even more challenging. Hannibal, a brilliant Carthaginian general, led his army, complete with elephants, on a daring march across the Alps, invading Italy and inflicting a series of crushing defeats on Roman legions. Under the leadership of Scipio Africanus, a brilliant Roman general, they took the war to Carthage, ultimately defeating Hannibal at the Battle of Zama in 202 BC. The Third Punic War, from 149 to 146 BC, marked the final chapter in this epic struggle, with Rome razing Carthage to the ground and selling its inhabitants into slavery. Section 6. Crisis and Transformation, the End of the Republic. Victory in the Punic Wars brought immense wealth and power to Rome, but it also sowed the seeds of its own destruction. The influx of slaves and plunder from conquered territories enriched the Roman elite, but it also led to widespread corruption, social unrest, and the decline of traditional Roman values. The gap between the rich and poor widened, and the once stable political system began to crumble under the weight of ambition and greed. Powerful generals, commanding loyal legions and fueled by ambition, increasingly challenged the authority of the Senate. Figures like Gaius Marius and Lucius Cornelius Sulla emerged, using their military might to seize power and settle political scores. The Roman Republic, once a beacon of stability and the rule of law, was teetering on the brink of collapse. Section 7. Hail Caesar, the Rise of the Roman Empire. From the chaos of the late Republic emerged a new breed of leader, one who would forever alter the course of Roman history. Gaius Julius Caesar, a brilliant general, shrewd politician, and ruthless opportunist, rose to prominence through a combination of military victories, popular appeal, and political maneuvering. His conquest of Gaul, modern-day France, brought him immense wealth, prestige, and the loyalty of a powerful army. Caesar, defying the Senate's authority, crossed the Rubicon River in 49 BC, igniting a civil war that would decide the fate of Rome. Caesar emerged victorious from the civil war, defeating his rivals and establishing himself as the undisputed master of Rome. He implemented a series of reforms aimed at addressing the social and economic problems plaguing the Republic. However, his growing power and autocratic tendencies alienated many in the Senate who feared he aspired to become king. On March 15th, 44 BC, a group of senators led by Brutus and Cassius assassinated Caesar in the Senate chamber, hoping to save the Republic. Section 8. Pax Romana, a golden age of peace and prosperity. From the ashes of Caesar's assassination emerged his grandnephew and adopted heir Octavian, later known as Augustus. Augustus, a shrewd and calculating politician, outmaneuvered his rivals, including Mark Antony and Cleopatra, in a series of civil wars. With his victory at the Battle of Actium in 31 BC, Augustus became the sole ruler of Rome, effectively ending the Republic and ushering in the Roman Empire. Augustus, recognizing the mistakes of his predecessors, presented himself not as a king, but as the first citizen of Rome. He maintained the outward forms of the Republic, preserving the Senate and other institutions while consolidating power in his own hands. Augustus' reign marked the beginning of the Pax Romana, a period of unprecedented peace and prosperity that lasted for over 2 centuries. Section 9. Excess and Decline, the Seeds of Rome's Fall. The Pax Romana, though a period of remarkable peace and prosperity, also contained the seeds of Rome's eventual decline. The vast wealth and luxury enjoyed by the Roman elite led to decadence, corruption, and a loss of civic virtue. The emperors who succeeded Augustus, though some were capable rulers, often indulged in extravagance and tyranny, neglecting the needs of the people and the empire. Military discipline declined, and the legions, once the backbone of Roman power, became increasingly reliant on foreign mercenaries. As the empire grew, so too did the challenges of governing its vast and diverse territories. Economic problems, including inflation and over-reliance on slave labor, further weakened the empire's foundations. Section 10. The Fall of an Empire, a slow and painful demise. The decline of the Roman Empire was a gradual process, spanning centuries and marked by periods of recovery and renewed crisis. Barbarian tribes, driven by pressure from the Huns in the east and lured by the wealth of the Roman Empire, increasingly encroached on Roman borders. The Romans, weakened by internal divisions and economic woes, found it increasingly difficult to repel these incursions. In 410 AD, the Visigoths, under the leadership of Alaric, sacked Rome, a shocking event that sent shockwaves throughout the empire. Despite this and other setbacks, the Roman Empire, though greatly diminished, clung to existence for several more decades. However, the final blow came in 476 AD, when Odoacer, a Germanic general, deposed Romulus Augustulus, the last Roman emperor in the West. Section 11. The Legacy of Rome and Enduring Influence. The Roman Empire may have crumbled into dust, but its legacy continues to shape the Western world. Roman law, language, architecture, engineering, and political thought have left an indelible mark on Western civilization. The Roman Republic's experiment with representative government and the rule of law, though flawed, provided a model for later generations seeking to establish just and stable societies. The Roman Empire, at its height, demonstrated the power of cultural assimilation and the benefits of a unified and peaceful world. The story of Rome is a reminder that even the mightiest empires are not immune to the forces of history.